Only 2 races remain for the SimPulse Legacy Truck Series in its inaugural season, and a track we most often don't see with National Series equipment has come back into the fold. Welcome back to Thompson International Speedway. The Connecticut-based circuit will be home to your penultimate round of this initial campaign for 100 laps of feature racing. Drivers are now taking to their qualifying session here with 7 minutes and 30 minutes left on the board. Aaron Schugel hoping to defend his victory after a long stretch of racing that we saw at Gateway running under green. Tonight, back to the short, sweet, and simple. Thompson is a track well known for its local racing. It's a big complex, as a matter of fact, not just the oval you're seeing on your screen, but we're focusing on the 2/3 of a mile circuit tonight, which will bring drivers all the way back up north to finish off the season before heading down to the southeast in Homestead, Miami. I'll be your host for tonight's broadcast, David Kreutz, commentating and producing, and can't wait to get things going here. Of course, talking about what happened in last week's event. Got to talk about JFR. Right now, Corey Lyles finds himself at the top of the charts and, of course, finding himself there given the fact that he's run rather successfully over the past string of races. Lyles right now in that number 56, going to occupy position now number 1, all the way at the top of the board, and really no trouble for him so far, progressing up there, pole position. He's got it by a wide margin over all those in the field, then on behind him. Quarter of a second as it stands. Chris Mullen's going to be 3rd, and Rodney Roberts 4th. Jace Hale then P5. And further on back, there's going to be Aaron Fontaine. 6 drivers so far with the time. And here's Fontaine all the way up top. There's the number 18 making his move to try and drive down low. Every driver getting a chance here tonight to race alongside each other in group qualifying, so not going to be single car qualifying, which gives drivers more laps, more time, and a different element of racing, because not only are you going to be on the track together with your other drivers, you got to avoid them and find room to get your fastest laps in. Here's Cody Linscott right now on the way, who finds himself in 4th. Cody going to find himself taking it up to the top of the track here. While there are multiple grooves, don't expect anything else but that inside groove to be preferable tonight. Cody right now going to be dropping to it toward turns 1 and 2. The racing groove definitely going to be worn in more so on the bottom sides. And as that number 8 machine decides to go 3 and 4 up top here, perhaps setting up for his flying lap, which so far he's not going to find much of. Up there, banging the wall, and then nosediving down by pit road. That would be rather dangerous. Rodney Roberts lucky to avoid it after yet again another very strong run. Rodney Roberts in the number 29, you might see he's running a very interesting paint scheme. If you were watching on board last night, the Highline Racing League, that is a paint scheme of interest for a very good reason. Unfortunately, just a few weeks ago, we lost dirt racing legend Scott Bloomquist in a helicopter accident on, I believe, his property, and the tragic loss has given way to a decal on the side of that number 29 truck in honor of Scott. Blacktop Racing boys were riding it on their paint schemes in last night's event in Nashville, and it looks like once again, indeed, Rodney going to bring that paint scheme here in memory of the dirt racing legend, well known for his local short track exploits, much like the circuit you're seeing here today in Connecticut. So, honoring one of the most prolific drivers all throughout the American circuit, Scott Bloomquist going to be riding on the tail end there, the number 29 tonight, and Rodney Roberts looking to do him some justice in what's been Rodney's best stretch of the season, getting himself a podium and 2 top 5 so far. Let's see in the last 3 races if he can add it and make it his 4th. Rodney right now going to be 5th in the qualifying charts of 13 that have registered to this point. Shannon Milliken now going to be on his way for his very first lap of this event. Let's see what Shannon can do in that number 17 running the Prodigy Racing Association paint scheme. He's going to go up into the middle groove himself, and it looks like most drivers trying to run a little bit higher as he makes it across the back straight in front again. Here comes Shannon making his move up into 8th. Oh, up to the top side of the wall, once again delicately bruising and coming right toward our cameras here. It's a close track when it comes to cameras and these drivers. It's tight and action. You can see the walls are very minimal at this track. Some of these short circuits that we could visit in the future, such as in particular, of course, we've seen previously Southern National, Lanier, Oxford Plains doesn't have any walls, mind you. Here, there are walls, but if you really try hard enough, I think you could actually jump them over. And though, of course, I don't think those drivers want to try that tonight, you can see how minimal the barrier is, especially through 1 and 2, where Shannon Milliken is going out of right now. Shannon's still going to be 9th on the order so far. Let's see what he's got as he drives down to the middle groove and then gets onto that grip strip. Not going down to the inside immediately, perhaps as you might have expected, but instead, trying to use everything up through 3 and 4, and it looks like more of the same through 1 and 2. Knock on the wall once again, going to bring Shannon down to pit road. All the while, Corey Lyles is still clearing away your pole sitter. Aaron Schugel, who won last week, has still not turned any laps tonight in this qualifying session. He and Tegan Fox are the only absentees so far. The rest of the field has decided to go on at least once and give it a chance. Corey Lyles now coming across the stripe yet again. Looks like he's going to give it another chance. That was his fastest lap. Coming in at a 20.054, Corey just set the pole time once again, and it looks like gonna usurp his old position in time by about a 1/10 of a second. Lynn Scott is in the runner-up position. Austin LeBlanc is going to be in 3rd. Aaron Fontaine then 4th. All provisional results so far, which are subject to change, as Rodney Roberts comes down the back straightaway alone once again. In the Dryden 29, he's ahead now of Jace Hale, Shannon Milliken, and the most recent time takers of Joey Kuba and Mads Crawford. 11 drivers have taken the time, and they're all spread out by 3.5 seconds, which suggests that Mads has a lot more in the tank, literally and figuratively, than what we've seen to this point. So let's see what Mads got up next, as it looks like the 92 still looking for a faster time than what we've seen to kick this one off. Rena Bloom in the chat room tonight, thank you for stopping by. Jake Raven, of course, a particular fan favorite, qualifying 5th for today and looking for a rebound after the incident he had with Thomas Coonan. You may notice Coonan not going to be with us tonight on the field, and it looks like he's going to be taking disciplinary action on his own accord rather than anything else. He got involved with Raven, who is right now on the track, taking a look at Jake in what was overall, as he described it, seeing red, and so he got slammed right into, or he slammed into Raven, and that was Jake's race then and there, and he was unfortunately not able to come out with much more than a top 10 by nature. So Tom is not going to be with us. All the while, you can see the driver of that number 37 kicking it up top, and he's got himself back-ended with that tail end now quite damaged. Aaron Fontaine in chat as well, thank you for stopping by. Joey Kuba going to be making his way through, and it looks like now as these drivers come across for the final laps here in this qualifying session, clear as day, who's on top? Corey Lyles going to grab the pole position. And it looks like as drivers finish up their laps, the 56 of Lyles is on top. So Lyles now going to sit on pit row with pole position locked. Joey Kuba moves up into 9th on that final lap, and Mads Crawford not able to improve, sliding across the stripe, and that will be the official end to your qualifying session. Mads Crawford with trouble to finish it off. 13 drivers for tonight's event, and all of which have descended upon the virtual Thompson International Raceway for a chance at victory in the most crucial time of the title. Aaron Schugel able to come away with a race victory, of course, last week, as he and JFR teammate Corey Lyles going toe-to-toe for the title now. And we're going to take a look to your starting grid for this race as every driver loads in 100 laps on the table. The full century will bring the field together. And let's take a look at that starting grid before all gets started here from Thompson. At the head of the pack, going to be Corey Lyles over Cody Linscott. That's the 1-2 front row. Then you got yourself 3rd, and Austin LeBlanc and Aaron Fontaine in 4th. Position number 5 then going to be occupied by Jake Raven, and Chris Mullins will be 6th with 7th place Rodney Roberts, and then 8th Jace Hale in the number 70. It's going to be then rounding out the top 5 Joey Kuba and Shannon Milliken. 11th place on the order going to be Mads Crawford, Aaron Schugel in 12th, and then 13th And last on the field, the number 61 of Tegan Fox. Tegan going to conclude it. It looks like 13 drivers settled in, 12 of which got on the track, 11 of which took a time. And so now as the front row is now completely put together, it's about time, in just a few moments anyway, that we go green and racing again in the PRA Legacy Truck Series. We've been watching this championship race develop lap after lap, race after race, and while the front row is blinking in and out somewhat, the rest of the field is firmly here with us. It looks like Aaron Schugel might not be racing tonight. No indication that he will get on the track to this point anyway. All tentative, but we might see something going on with Aaron, although he did register for practice. No confirmation of him in qualifying. And we'll figure out whether or not he joins us here to kick off this race. Corey Lyles, additionally, does not look to be with us here as well. Both the JFR drivers are not going to be starting this race, and I believe, for that reason, it's going to be Lyles starting on pit road. Mind you, he's going to be taking a lap penalty, a withholded start, thanks to what happened on lap 1 of the race involving he and the first race leader of the day, Cameron Albertson. So Corey going to be starting on pit road. That will give Cody Linscott de facto pole position and move Austin LeBlanc up into the front row himself. So, an interesting position to be in here for the number 11 of Austin LeBlanc as he goes in the inside of row number 1, but not necessarily as your pole sitter. So down to the bottom of the track, there is the number 11, and up top with them, Cody Linscott. Drivers who have not yet gotten to lead the field all season long. In addition, no indication of Tegan Fox nor Aaron Schugel. Tegan just disconnected from the session, and it looks like Aaron Schugel has not shown any signs of coming back here, which leaves us with 11 on the circuit here tonight. The rest of the field is ready to get things going once again, though. Corey Lyles might be starting on pit road, and it's going to be the number 11 here of Austin LeBlanc, working on the bottom side with your new technical pole sitter, Cody Linscott, right up top. Barney the flagman will wave him in to bring the field to the green tonight, and while the green flag drops, Linscott and Austin LeBlanc will lead us on the green. Welcome back to action here from Thompson International Speedway. We are underway with a major disconnection from Austin LeBlanc. He has to get out of the way. My oh my, that could have been massive trouble, as here comes Rodney Roberts right on the high side. Well, you can see Austin LeBlanc up in the wall, and his internet troubles are destroying his race so quickly. Just a lap, and he finds himself in last. Matt Crawford spins on. Wow, another incident on his own. My goodness, early back of the field trouble, and oh, a big stack up. There's the 17 of Milliken involved as well. Look to be Joey Kuba. 3 incidents all at once here. There's Jace Hale. Yellow flag is out. Take a look back. We've got some trouble here, and it looks like from the front of the field on down, incidents. Here's what happened. Shannon Milliken and company. Jace Hale spins, Milliken and Corey Lyles got so lucky because it looks like Shannon took the full hit and the brunt of the load. Take a look back, instant replay one more time, and you'll see just what happened here. Corey Lyles, he definitely got lucky here as he came right in and made no contact. Just a kiss, if anything. That's going to save Corey's race. Shannon is all smashed in, and yes, Corey goes down to pit road here, but regardless of that, Austin LeBlanc already going to be 1 lap down. Matt Crawford has major right side damage, maybe suspension trouble already. That is to be determined. Wheel well troubles are going to be something hard to come by with successful recoveries. I think Shannon Milliken just missed pit road. And here comes Shannon now, making his way in. And Milliken does make his way through now, so Shannon will go 1 lap down very, very soon with very familiar right side damage, akin to what's going on for Matt Crawford. I can't imagine either of them will last all too much longer on the lead lap here as we have our first caution of the day. 5 laps in, Out of 100, Cody Linscott, your race leader. Aaron Fontaine going to be in second, and third is going to be Jake Raven here. New group up in front, and without JFR starting up and ahead, might see another new race winner very late in the championship, and yes, Aaron Schugel. He's not with us in this race, so it goes down to Corey Lyles maybe trying to lock up the championship. Double file this time around. Going to be our first restart of the day. Austin LeBlanc is going to be given a EOL penalty for involvement in that yellow flag procedure. Austin, of course, he was involved by getting the first incident going. His internet troubles bring him all the way back to the tail end. Now the green flag going to drop with Cody Linscott in control. Green flag's up and away. Linscott's got the inside. Aaron Fontaine the advantage up top, but there's really not much an advantage anymore as Cody will bring us back through the back straightaway again. Hopefully for some green flag action as Jake Raven gets rather loose. So now it's going to be a very small bundle at the head of the field. Leading is Cody Linscott. Cody getting his first chance up at the front of the field this season, and Aaron Fontaine going to be right there with, only to get up in the wall, and that's a major trouble there for Fontaine, but nothing that can't be recovered from. Matt Crawford's going to slide once again, and detrimental damage. I think now Crawford's going to park it in the grass, potentially, and going down to the apron. Crawford is running very slow, and the yellow flag's out once again. The cause, Corey Lyles involved, the second yellow flag of the day, and the field will scatter once more. Take a look here, 9 laps in out of 100, and the yellow flag is brought out once again. Riding on board with Lyles, it looks like he's going to get loose with contact from Rodney Roberts. Nearly tags there into Jake Raven, only for Chris Mullins to get involved. And Lyles is going to fall into the tail end of the field again. Cautions out for the second time. There's Chris Mullins going at it, and Lyles will get a better replay of what just happened as he was involved in that most recent incident. It looks like he definitely got ran into by Rodney Roberts, but when and why, let's find out a little bit more about it. Corey goes down to the inside. Number 29 machine of Roberts going to be up top, and it looks like Roberts came low, Lyles up top, but Rodney really stuck into it. Maybe he didn't know, but he surely did not give in, even if he felt that contact. And so Lyles is going to go sliding. Yellow flag is out yet again, and so we are pacing once more. Cody Linscott going to find himself now the race leader even still. Lyles gets back on the way in 9th here, and Cody is your race leader with Aaron Fontaine 2nd and Rodney Roberts there in 3rd. "12 laps in, and that is your second caution of the day. Don't expect those averages to keep up for the entirety of this event. However, if they were to do so, we'd have an average, of course, of 2 cautions per 10. That would come out to 20 cautions on the day. However, with the field size here, don't expect it to get all too chaotic in the future. In all honesty, we should see the race begin to simmer down ever so slightly, and maybe bringing it back into what we saw in Southern National and Lanier as well. The second half of both of those races were run entirely clean without yellow flags or any additional interference, so expect more of that rather than more of this as the night progresses. Linscott in 1st, Aaron Fontaine in 2nd. 3rd place is going to be Rodney Roberts, and of all those in the qualifying order today, the technical biggest mover would be Rodney. He's up 4 positions so far, and then you'll see up 3 is going to be Jace Hale, up 2, Shannon Milliken. Otherwise, most drivers have remained in position, gained slightly, or fallen back entirely. Aaron Schugel and Tegan Fox both did not start. The rest of the 11 drivers are still going. 1st to 10th, Corey Lyles, your pole sitter, has fallen back dramatically. All the while, Mads Crawford is going to be there 11th to 11th. Looks like most of the damage is repaired as we're set to go 1 lap to green this time by. Cody going to find himself in control here for the second restart as we go green with 15 laps out of 100 on the board so far. Just about 85 laps left on the table, so let's see what Cody's got in store up next for what could be his first chance at a race victory this year. Green flag to drop again, and Lynn Scott will get the green flag in his hand. Now Aaron Fontaine drops back just behind, and it's going to be top two getting away single file. A little bit of 2x2 behind as Chase Hale is going to get in the battle with Jake Raven. Looks like this opening lap of this restart anyway, most drivers getting away cleanly. Chris Mullen's going to find himself in the battle now with Corey Lyles and gives that spot away as quick as it comes. Corey going to get back up into 6th, all the while Chase Hale going to be positioned number 5. Maybe now Corey Lyles having that opportunity to make his way through and get up into the top 5 in due time. Corey's going to have himself now 0.3 of a second to make up. Let's see what happens here as we ride on board with the 56 for a lap as he chases down Chase Hale. Well, Corey Lyles in just a lap's time quickly makes it by Chase Hale and Rodney Roberts alike. It looks like the JFR driver, the one of which left for the team tonight, has a chance to already get inside the podium as he runs behind Jake Raven and now cuts to the inside once again. And the reason is now, of course, Corey Lyles has gone down to pit road multiple times. He's been involved in multiple yellow flags, the first 2 of which, so he's had every reason to come down to pit road for both instances so far on the day. As a result, he's gone down to pit road, gotten himself a fresh set of Goodyear rubber twice, and so he's on a much younger, fresher set, 10 laps compared to the leader's 21, which means now he's got 50% younger tires if we go by the straight-up numbers. Mads Crawford back down to pit road again, and you got to wonder whether or not that will be Crawford's night, given the incidents already. Mads has at least gotten involved in 3 self-causing incidents to this point. Hopefully nothing else much comes of it, and Mads goes down to pit road for continued damage repairs. Top 3 is preserved as Corey Lyles runs right behind your 3rd place man in Jake Raven. It looks like getting up into that bronze position hasn't been all too easy for Corey Lyles so far. Staying tucked in right behind, looking to find some sort of room, with Raven defending well, only to give away that inside coming out of turn 4 once again. Now Corey's going to take it deep down to the bottom side of the circuit. It's going to be side by side with Corey on the grip strip, and up top of the ceiling, Jake Raven will take it. Now, it looks like it's going to be toe-to-toe for the first time. Lyles on the back foot this season, and it looks like for the first time indeed, he's got no teammates to help him. No Cash Culp, no Thomas Coonan, no Aaron Schugel, but there's trouble for Aaron Fontaine. Fontaine going to nosedive into the front straightaway wall. We will stay green, but Aaron Fontaine's race effectively destroyed in just 1 turn. No caution, mind you, but Aaron Fontaine in big trouble. It looks like coming out of 4. No contact. That was getting loose on his own, and so Aaron is destroyed all of a sudden. And 26 laps in out of 100, Fontaine is going to find himself now in 10th. Penultimate position on the day, still barely on the lead lap, and trying to chase down Kuba and Shannon Milliken, who are right ahead of us here. Looks like Austin LeBlanc, who was able to get up to that de facto pole position, well, he's made his way all the way down to 8th here, going in the wrong direction, largely due to those internet troubles. His internet connection has been so inconsistent that we can hardly tell where he is on the track at times. He's gone now, and he's been gone for 5 seconds. That was a 5-second break in between, and that's a bad news. iRacing tries, in many cases, to predict where a driver is even when they are gone, meaning their connection is not strong enough to continue upholding an estimate of where they are that is hyper accurate. Instead, they'll disappear, blink again, and although that doesn't mean any damage for other drivers, it means there's no aerodynamic impact to the driver ahead of you. Say you're working with someone who's blinking and drafting with you, they're going to be much slower, rather than someone who has a solid connection and really can put themselves together nicely. You have no trust in the driver ahead of you. And right now, of course, you can't really rely on someone at a track like Thompson, but at the same time in virtual racing, a driver that's literally disappearing and reappearing back and forth is bad news. Mads Crawford gonna get caught up in a 3-wide battle now. Crawford up in the wall, getting away from the leaders, and so Mads gets up there, no contact. Corey Lyles now your new race leader, coming out of 2 and able to use the lap or 2 his advantage. Corey's got the top spot, and now Cody gets himself back in the catbird seat. Leaders are gonna break away, and you can see Mads Crawford now going to be much further on behind. Jake Raven remains in the podium and got by Rodney Roberts here. Cody Linscott looking for his first top 3 position finish on the season. Let's see now what Jake Raven can do. He's still in 3rd here, so looking for another solid performance. It does not look like he'll have to knock Cody Linscott off for a podium, at least right now anyway. However, now that number 8 machine, well, stays up on the top side indeed. It looks like all through 1 and 2, everyone follows Corey. Wherever Lyles chooses to go, looks like most of the field is content in going with, and they're all trying to do things very similar here to maintain that pace and find more success. Cody Linscott looks low, thinks better of it, really no chance for him to make a pass, and staying intact, holding fort, and while these drivers might be giving it their all, Corey Lyles is still slowly but surely pulling away as Chris Mullins now goes side by side with Jace Hale, and Jace is going to make the move to get up into 5th. Mullins with some front end damage going to find himself much further behind as Mads Crawford pulls low and away, letting the drivers in the back pack go right by him. That's going to include Aaron Fontaine, who's gotten back up into 9th after that substantial hit. And, of course, with them, Joey Kuba and Austin LeBlanc. Joey is going to find himself right behind the number 18, and it's a very big shock, I'll say, that Aaron Fontaine even has the pace to go up on someone and try to make a pass, even though, yes, he's got huge front-end troubles. Looks like that motor has not fully quit, and Aaron is going to get up into 8th, admittedly now with more right side damage after another bump, but he's done a real good job so far, of course, of keeping himself intact regardless of the troubles. Jake Raven right now going to find himself in 3rd, quarter of a second behind on Cody Linscott. Still has not yet made the move, and he will remain as patient as they come. Now, all about slowly but surely intruding on the battle. Jake Raven up to the top side again. Let's talk a little bit more about where specifically these drivers are deciding to move high and low on the circuit, and take a look at what we have as our eye in the sky, the blimp camera here on FTN. The darker groove is typically, anyway, the preferred racing line. However, as we watch on with Jake Raven here and Cody Linscott respectively, you'll see they're above that darkened in line, about a groove and a half up until the final corner, whether it's turn 2 or 4 respectively. They'll dive down and in and decide to stay high, then push down low to get a better exit off the corner with a little bit more momentum. We see it more extremely at a 1.5 mile circuit, something like Homestead, Miami, or a track of that sort. But here it looks like in Thompson, the middle groove has become preferable for those drivers inside the podium. Here for Jace Hale, it looks like he's going to give up a spot again to Chris Mullins, and Mullins was able to use the bottom of the circuit to make it by, only now for Hale to have enough pace to power on the inside and make it a dead even battle again. Here down to the inside, Jace Hale tries to go, nothing going to come of it, and Chris Mullins once again gets by. That's the move for 5th, and it's a move that's been made now 3 times by both drivers as a whole. Mads Crawford just disconnected and reconnected, so it looks like internet troubles might be additionally fueling the struggle for that number 92 team, as Jace Hale gets up in, smacks the wall. Looks like Jace Hale now going to find himself in that number 70 machine in 6th here, although he's still inside of the top 10. Well, just about everyone is. Definitely falling back on the battle with Chris Mullins, although it looked like Mullins at first was the man who would drop back. Hale with a little bit more damage now, and it looks like that's going to be what does him in. Chase is going to stay ahead of Aaron Fontaine here. Aaron has gotten now up into 7th and has done a great job, admittedly, of recovering despite what looked to be an impossible task. Aaron has gone from 10th up to 7th, and I'm sure he will not be too satisfied with the run at the end of the day, but it's good to see that he's not quitting or giving up immediately, and instead trying to go for a better chance for a better finish. Came away with his first career podium last week in Gateway, and it looks like while he had a chance to go for 2 consecutive, he would need a yellow flag or something to bunch up the field again, something which looks rather unlikely now as Cody Linscott and Jake Raven continue to battle, and while Raven has been there, still, he has not made a move to go for a pass. Jake Raven is going to take it up a little bit higher there than Cody Linscott. Bottom groove no longer looking to be preferable for most of these drivers, and instead they'll run one lane up on the seam and then make their way down and in. Bottom side looked to be one of the better grooves when the sun was shining. However, that's not the case any longer. And let's talk about that weather that we got here. 72 degrees Fahrenheit with winds westbound at 9 miles an hour. Partly cloudy forecast overall, and it looks like it's holding true. No longer is the sun beaming down, but is instead obscured by very murky weather, and while it is going to be a little bit of that gray sky coming in, night sky will be coming in by the end of the race, and we will slowly but surely see the twilight turn to pitch black action. 72 degrees Fahrenheit. Overall, the air temperature very respectable, and the track temp only 77. So such a small, insignificant difference means drivers do not have to worry at all about fuel or tires tonight. Most drivers, except for, well, eventual race leader Corey Lyles, decided not to go down a pit road at all. That one pit stop, the one and only opportunity for Corey Lyles to come in. He took it, and now he has himself up and ahead, 47 laps in, out of 100, nearly halfway. 56 of Corey Lyles holding fort. Closest battle is still going to be just behind him, Linscott and Jake Raven. Now you'll see the Lampers getting involved. Austin LeBlanc is going to bring Cody Linscott no choice but to go a little bit higher, and that looks to compromise him big. Here comes Jake Raven now, careening down the front straight with much more momentum, and he's going to survive this battle, and Cody Linscott going to have to live to see another day if he wants a chance to go back for it. Nice move there from Jake Raven, letting the race play out very naturally. So now that number 37 going to find himself up into the runner-up position, 4 seconds back on leader Lyles, and he'll go at it yet again, maybe with a chance to pursue the race lead if he's not held up by these lap trucks. There's Joey Kuba, and Joey just went up to the high side. Corey Lyles is going to lead the way now, coming to what will be only 50 laps to go, and as always, live on FTN, I'd like to, of course, talk about our official sponsor for tonight's event, of course, when it comes to our simulation racing platform anyway, iRacing Motorsports Simulations. Providing the action for more than 16 years now, iRacing is the most realistic online simulator for rookies and champions of the racing world alike. Visit iRacing.com for discounts on subscriptions of greater than 30% for all membership types, and we'd love for you to stop by and of course support the fun we do here on FTN by buying a membership in iRacing and joining the simulation world as a driver for yourself. We'll be right back after the following message from our friends at iRacing Motorsports Simulations.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Lyles comes across the line to make it 45 laps remaining. Overall, the field is entirely settled down at this point. Most battles have become more than a second apart from each and every driver. Jake Raven, the last of which to make a pass, and when Raven did so, that was the move for second. Jake now finds himself 4.5 seconds up on Cody Linscott, and for all that Cody did, it looks like it will not be enough tonight. 56 laps in, Cody now finds himself very far back, and very little chance right now, save for a major recovery that he'll get back up there and go for it once again. Now, the closest battles might actually come down to the lappers here. Joey Kuba, Austin LeBlanc, they're separate now by 1.5 seconds, and I can't imagine Austin's got enough pace in there to maybe make a pass for his own, but he's doing a pretty good job of just staying on the circuit and not causing trouble, even though he is in a very bad situation. I mean, you can see front end damage. The front end is gone, almost entirely anyway. Yet he's still going. Shannon Milliken now going to get up in the wall with now front end damage that is critical as well. Shannon going to dive down to the inside. I believe he's going to park it as quick as possible, retiring his entry. And Chase Hale's now going to come down to pit road 57 laps in. Damage or otherwise, making his way in. It looks like that number 70 machine is going to drop down, and there you have it. Hale goes through for a fast repair. Gonna get some service, tires and fuel, etc. 42 laps to go. Maybe Hale going to be the signal that more drivers have to make their way in, although it's looked unlikely so far. Corey Lyles keeps on going, 60 laps in now. Jake Raven going to be just behind, well, position-wise anyway, now just about 2 turns separating these two drivers, 61 laps in out of the century mark. Now, of course, we've made it past the halfway point, and his strategy is all but simmered down fully. Corey Lyles, despite his early troubles, has been able to make it up into the pole position spot once again, and he's looking to dominate this one from flag to flag, despite the early hiccup. Chris Mullins is going to be 5th here and coming up on Rodney Roberts. Within a second, he is now Rodney, and that time by, he ran 0.4 seconds quicker on that lap alone. Cody Linscott, well, he finds himself a few seconds up on Roberts, and it looks like Rodney might be losing a little bit more pace lap over lap. If that's not a fluke anyway, that time by, though, Rodney was 0.5 seconds quicker than Chris Mullins, and maybe now he's got a chance to pull himself back together and maintain that position. Chris Mullins now with a little bit of that bent up front end has to keep on pushing hard if he wants any chance to make up a position, but I think now it's clear. Chris is quicker. The gap is within 1 second, and here comes Chris to the bottom side yet again. He'll have to go by a lapper, and that's going to be Joey Kuba. Let's see what he does right now. Chris Mullins, we're riding on board with him for this lap as he tries to make it by the 93 and eventually Rodney Roberts. Chase Hale is another lapper, but he's on much younger tire. 5 laps compared to the rest of the field on 55 plus old stints. So Chase right now going to be quickest by a long shot, and I think his opportunity is going to be hopefully to get back on the lead lap, trying to make it through. If that number 56 of Lyles, of course, lets him go by to get back, losing 1 lap. He did on that pit stop. He's 2 laps down overall. It looks like Jace is not going to have much an opportunity to really make his way into position here to fight for the race win, but he does have a chance maybe to get up to as high as 7th or 6th, 6th or 7th anyway, as long as he keeps on going with the pace that he currently has. But that's going to be a big if here as the race continues to wind down. Chris Mullins is going to stay right behind Joey Kuba, and it looks like as Chase Hale went by, that's all the momentum that the number 29 team needed to keep surging up and ahead. Now the gap is going to be double what it was the last lap. It's gone from within 1 second to 1.5 seconds, and then some. Chase Hale is going to continue trying to make it by drivers and whirring through the field. It looks like he gets up in the wall there. Contact after getting by Cody Linscott. He'll have to next make it through a driver like Jake Raven, although the gap between Linscott and Raven is now 11 seconds on the field. a massive difference. And now Corey Lyles is coming up on another. That's going to be Chris Mullins, who's in jeopardy of going one lap down. Here now, Mullins is going to remain up on the top side, then working down low. Corey Lyles here going to find himself rushing down the back straight, up top, only to swerve down low. Makes it up to the high side once again, and as the groove remains almost entirely fluid, looks like Lyles is still just about as quick to stay right behind. So Chris Mullins going to continue to block. He has the right as a lead lap driver to keep on defending for his position. Does not have to give in just yet. And so you'll see Mullins here. I'm sure he must have wanted a chance to get by Joey Kuba, but now he's got to do the fighting all for himself. Kuba's going to stand in the way right now, staying on the lead lap. If, of course, Chris Mullins doesn't have his way around quickly. Now he'll cut down to the bottom side, and he's going to do so quickly enough to get a little bit of an edge now on Corey Lyles, but it looks like it can only last for a few more laps. Rodney Roberts going to go side by side here with Cody Linscott. That will move Rodney back up inside the podium. Now Chris Mullins is going to block Corey Lyles off the line again, and Corey is watching as the final drivers on the lead lap continue to battle each other. Now Mullins takes it down to the inside groove himself, 3 wide. Lyles now makes it by Mullins. Now he's due to make it by Linscott, and this would bring Jake Raven, of course, as the only other lead lap driver. Rodney Roberts is going to come across the line, no longer on the lead lap, and on pace tonight. Corey Lyles has put all but one driver 1 lap down. Unbelievable. The number 56 machine of Lyles has done what we didn't expect to see in any race. Of course, there's still one other driver on the lead lap here of Jake Raven, and he's up there in second, but the rest of the field on a green lap run have gone down at least 1 lap to the number 56. Lyles has been that much quicker, and he is purely dominant tonight. There's Jake Raven right here. He's coming up on those lappers and their business very, very soon. All the while, the battle continues here for third. Going to be side by side. Mullins and Linscott for a brief moment. Cody Linscott stays right behind Rodney Roberts and now dives a little bit lower, just under on the inside again. Rodney going to come across the stripe in that number 29 machine in third. So long as he hangs into this position, Rodney back on the podium. Being quiet today, but it looks like he's cranking it up late to get up there with Jake Raven once more. Rodney is, of course, one of the drivers who's seen his best races as of recent. 7th up to 3rd for the number 29 tonight, and Rodney can take pride in perhaps getting his 2nd podium on the year. So long as he hangs tough here, he's had a streak of great racing as of recent. He had himself a top 5 finish in Pocono, a top 10, of course, a top 5 in Gateway as well. Of course, the podium coming through at Daytona, and now another podium lined up so long as he keeps himself where he is here in Thompson. 23 laps to go this time by, and as Corey Lyles comes across the stripe, it will only be 22 laps remaining. We're going to crank it up now with the best camera providers on the iRacing market, Track Cams for Gourmets. For high-quality card and track combinations of camera, visit trackcams22.com for more information, as we will get loud with iRacing's premier camera providers, going live and cranking it up with 22 laps to go. Liles has been dominant today with 15 laps to go. He's looking to seal the deal while lappers continue to battle further on back. Here now is Aaron Fontaine finding himself with Rodney Roberts, and as these two drivers are going to remain alongside each other in the thick of the battle for fourth position, you got to wonder who will have the advantage to come out on top here. The Baker's Dozen will be up next very, very soon, and as Aaron Fontaine makes his way down the back straight, he's got Rodney Roberts just barely up ahead of him. Rodney's been overall able to hang on for a good run, but Chris Mullins has gotten up in the podium. We thought Rodney would have a chance to go for the second and 4 races here, but all of a sudden, Chris Mullins back on the top 3 since the first time we saw him there, which was the opening race of the season. And it looks like all of a sudden, Mullins back inside the podium on pace, making it by Roberts and Fontaine. What a race it's been for Chris Mullins to recover in such a fashion. We saw him with front end damage and thought he was all but done for. It looks like it's quite the opposite case now. Instead, Mullins is one of the quickest drivers on the track. That time by quicker than all drivers behind him by more than a half second. So Mullins now finds himself in a very firm condition to go home with another podium finish. And let's see, of course, now what he can do to finish the job. It's been 90 laps so far for the field, and Aaron Fontaine now finds himself at wit's end to make it back up on Rodney Roberts. What a race recovery for Aaron Fontaine. Would most likely be firmly inside of that top 3 had it not been for the spin he had so far early in the race. 4th place to 4th place, but the effort he put in to get to this point would not tell you all the story. Instead, it would really leave you short-sighted as to how Aaron was able to manage today. He had to go all the way down to 10th and under green recover without any assistance. And I think Fontaine, of course, he got a podium finish last week based on pure attrition. He felt that maybe he didn't fully earn that one, but tonight, of course, he couldn't get the podium, at least for now, unless there's a mistake up ahead of him. But what a race it's been for Aaron to get back up to 4th. And perhaps, despite everything else, that is the drive of the day. 9 laps to go, front end damage, right side damage. He is bent up, and it is clear as it comes. Clear as day, really. Aaron Fontaine is just not cut out for it with that truck, and yet he's been able to continue gaining against drivers with cleaner equipment, against drivers who might have the odds-on advantage, and yet here comes Aaron Fontaine in 4th tonight, looking to finish the job inside the top 5 despite continuing to struggle from flag to flag as Corey Liles makes it around for what will be 7 laps remaining, this time by 94 laps in out of 100. Jake Raven going to be there in 2nd. Chris Mullins is going to be in 3rd. Aaron Fontaine is in 4th. And Rodney Roberts is in 5th. Top 5 progress as they have come for the majority of this race. Very far apart. Very spread out indeed. And now only 2 drivers on the lead lap. Jake Raven and, of course indeed, Corey Liles. Here comes Jace Hale and Austin LeBlanc. It looks like Austin now in jeopardy of losing that 9th position, or the 8th spot rather. Here comes Jace Hale tucking it to the inside once again as the number 70 machine ducks low. It's going to be Hale now up to the race lead. And Austin LeBlanc, no choice now but to continue letting him go by, only to come up the track and completely miss the we have a yellow flag, 5 laps to go. Jake Raven will bring us to overtime all of a sudden. Yellow flag is out, and it looks like Raven has trouble. Take a look at this one here with 5 to go. We see Raven slide up, and that brings out the caution. So this will be a shootout, 2-lap shootout indeed. Green, white, checkered circumstance, something most unexpected on the night, and yet here we are. Corey Liles is going to be your race leader heading down a pit road for what looks to be a free pit stop, and Jake Raven going to be coming on with, presumably now as he's in 2nd here, 4 laps to go. Raven going to slide and cause that incident. And now it's time for drivers to head into pit road and get settled in once more. So Jake Raven, 98 laps into this race, now is going to find himself as the race leader. Unbelievable difference with respect to how Raven's been able to run this race. He was not the quickest driver, but instead one of the most consistent lap in, lap out. Unfortunately making that mistake, but it might actually be best for him to have made this mistake, as he now gets that chance to go down a pit road effectively for free. Corey Lyles will still be the race leader, but everyone's going to be on dead even tire, and Lyles, who had that 10-lap advantage all race long, had to come in once again. I think now more than anything else, looks like he's got a very, very good chance at winning, but a lot of that advantage he had has been taken away rapidly. Three laps to go this time by. Corey Lyles is going to be your race leader, and Chris Mullins is going to be there in second. Jake Raven is going to find himself overall in P3. Now as Jake Raven's going to make his way by, it looks like everyone gets themselves settled in. This will be an overtime finish, as we expect to go past the 100 lap threshold, which we just did. So with that in mind, the rules for this overtime procedure are, if we get the white flag, the race will be official no matter what. If we get the yellow flag, this race will be official no matter what. This is the one and only extension we have on the table. No extra gimmicks. You get one last chance under green. This race will end on the next flag which drops. Yellow, checkered, anything but. Anything in between, it will still cause the end of this race. And so now Corey Lyles is going to opt to take it up top. Got Austin LeBlanc, it looks like, on the bottom, only for Corey to drop down low at the last moment. Jake Raven's up high. Chris Mullins is going to be now trying to go to the bottom side too. And the JFR driver could perhaps clinch the championship just with a good performance here and now. But of course, Jake Raven is a driver who's been hungry for his first win all season long. Can the 37 break out of the third position and find his way up to the race lead and the race win for the first time in his career? It's about time that we find out. 2 laps to go here from Connecticut. Corey Lyles gets the big jump and brings the field down to the turn 1. It looks like an easy getaway there for the 56. Meanwhile, the mid-pack sees Jace Hale going at it 3 wide with Aaron Fontaine. Fontaine gets away. That will move him up, only to spin. Aaron Fontaine goes around again, but he goes around alone. We stay green. Raven with contact and up the track. Yellow flags out. This race is over. Corey Lyles wins from Connecticut in an overtime shortened finish. Jake Raven, it looks like, is scored in third because he's one of the only 3 drivers on the lead lap. He falls back 1 position after getting T-boned up into the wall. Chris Mullins still comes home in the second place, and coming across the line, Corey Lyles will win again for JFR. The team that has dominated the playoffs does it again, and Corey wins from the pole position, and the checkered flag is his once more. Bridesmaid no more. Corey's second win comes in dominating fashion. Lyles will win from Chris Mullins and Jake Raven, the 1, 2, 3. Fourth place is going to be Rodney Roberts, Aaron Fontaine in 5th, Cody Linscott in 6th, and Joey Kuba 7th, with Austin LeBlanc in 8th, Jace Hale 9th, Shannon Milliken, and then Mads Crawford 10th and 11th, the only retirees on the day. And now, Corey decides to burn it down, celebrating another fantastic performance. Lyles at a standstill after a tremendous night for the 56 team, one that he's going to need to perhaps lock up the championship. It looks like now he's got himself a firm points lead and looking to come away on top when all is said and done. Let's get a word from your top 3 drivers, Lyles being the first of which, and then we'll go on back to Mullins and Jake Raven. Familiar faces on the podium all around, and a very familiar winner, as Corey Lyles will get away with the race win tonight, and it is his second so far the playoff campaign. Corey, tonight, you led the majority of the race by far, 74 of 103 laps, but you were involved in a few incidents to start the race and had to get away from chaos to finish it off in that green-white checkered scenario. How do you feel now, of course, coming away on top yet again here with only 1 race left after this?
Well, We got some momentum coming into the championship race. Had to serve a penalty early. Missed the start because of that penalty. Drove through the field. I got a little bit of damage. Got some freshies on it. Um, and yeah, just traveled through the field. Um, and raced it like if I was racing super late models here. And I love racing this track with super late models, so it just kind of came to heart. And yeah, it was pretty fun setup. Car track combo. Really, whoever made the setup is really fun.
It looks like very smooth setup overall. Not a lot of problems controlling the car tonight, but overall, pole position to pole, you found yourself with one strategy call that made everything easier on the way up. You went down to pit road to start the race. How was it having to make it up through the field with much newer tire? It seemed like you had no trouble getting back in front.
Oh yeah, it was a little bit of a challenge. Just wanted to make sure I didn't hit anybody because I don't I don't want to wreck anybody. So I had to carefully make my way through the field, get through a little bit of trouble. But yeah, um, it was pretty fun race.
All things considered, a fun race to finish off the tour in the Northeast. Final race next week. Corey, you're in good standing, I believe, now to win the championship, and Aaron Schugel not starting made it that much easier. Homestead Miami Speedway up next. What are your expectations to finish off this season with, hoping for one last strong result?
Oh yeah, I hope to win that one too. Get the championship. I got a couple of good racers I got to go against to get that. But yeah, I got a little bit of momentum here. And yeah, it's Homestead now.
And it's time to move on to Miami next week. Corey Lyles, you win again here, this time from Thompson. If you have any final thoughts or any final last shout outs you'd like to give out, the floor is yours.
Oh yeah. All my JFR teammates. Shout out to them. And also shout out to Bagman Designs for sponsoring.
And there we have it. Corey Lyles, top of the board for JFR once again, dominant from the pole position here in Connecticut. Thank you for your time.
Yep, no problem.
We're going to move Corey Lyles on the way and bring us back to a driver we haven't spoken to for the majority of the season. Nevertheless, a driver who's been on the podium before. Daytona winner Christopher Mullins. Tonight, your best non-super speedway performance, coming home with a second place finish. What was it like out there?
It was a little intense in the beginning, you know. I wasn't real sure. I got stuck behind Jace. He did a great job at defending his position there for the longest time. And when I did finally manage to get around him, I didn't think I had a shot at all to catch back up to the lead pack. I just tucked in and kept going and hoped for the best, and eventually found my way back up there. So I was real pleased with that. I do feel really bad though about Raven. He had a phenomenal run and spun out or something happened at the end, and I ended up with that second place position. It wasn't mine to have though.
Well, you know, something about your second place run that we were quite surprised about. You had front end damage for the entirety of that race, and coming through the first 50 some laps, we thought you'd be stuck back in seventh or eighth, but you started climbing and climbing fast. What helped you out there in getting those positions back so quickly, even though you were far back in the dust?
I think maintaining the tire condition was the biggest thing coming into this race. You know, I've not had a lot of time to prepare for most of them lately with things, but I wasn't focused on being the fastest because I knew that wasn't possible. Corey and Raven are both phenomenal racers. They're very fast. I put my focus on maintaining tire wear and condition and just running consistent laps with that. I was hoping a couple of yellows would come out in the beginning and the rest would be green flag. I thought maintaining that tire condition would allow me to move through the ranks relatively quick.
Well, it looks like making the right calls here tonight. Second place finish for our last short track of the season, which have been so chaotic. Luckily, you weren't really caught up in much other trouble besides the start here. Now, we're coming to the end of the season. You got the first ever win in this series, and you've backed it up with consistent running and another podium here before we move on to Homestead. Any final expectations before we make it to our season finale?
No, no expectations. You know, I've done a lot better than I expected, and I think that's a lot. The first win contributed to that, you know, really well. I come into this, I'm relatively new to iRacing, second series with PRA. I was like, if I can just maintain top 10, throughout both of those series, I'll be happy and just settle in, you know. So I've far exceeded the expectations I already had.
Well, there we have it. Christopher Mullins coming home second on the board today. Any final shout outs you'd like to give?
Yeah, absolutely. Cody Linscott, you know, me and him run a whole lot together in here. This was his highest starting position in a race. He's done phenomenal. He's been a great person to drive with and just chit chat with during the race. He makes it so much better. He's awesome. Raven also, and Corey. You've seen Corey's performance starting from the pits and then making his way up to the front. He's just absolutely amazing.
Well, there we have it. Chris Mullins, runner up on the day here from Thompson. Thank you once again for your time.
Thank you.
Chris Mullins on the way, and Jake Raven, even though he had a great run, unfortunately hooked up the track in that final incident, and despite all that, still finishing in third today again. You secured yourself a lead lap finish, and that held on to your podium even with that late race trouble. How about this event?
It was a crazy one to start off with. It kind of mellowed out during the mid and the late game. I can't believe I lost it in turn 4, to be honest. I felt bad about having to get that caution and bring us to that green-white checkered. I just came up on Cody a little quicker than I thought I was going to, and I hit the brakes too hard and it locked him up. Couldn't recover after that, but it is what it is. We were able to pull through still with a podium, so I'll take that any day. And it feels like it's back home, and it's been a while since I've talked to you, so I felt like third place was the place to do it.
Yeah, very familiar position for your team. All things considered, you had pace that came in the second half of that race, moving you up inside the podium yet again. What was it like out there, especially as all the non-lead lap drivers came together? You were able to run away for the most part. What was your secret?
Really just making sure you're braking early enough, because the truck wanted to slide up to the wall if you came into the turns too quick pretty hard. So making sure that you got your speed down before you started turning was really key to keeping that momentum through, and just holding a little bit of trail brake, and keeping it real easy on the throttle out, because they were a little loose on exit. So if you gave it too much, you would go around, and it looked like in practice a lot of people were doing it because I think they were pushing, but they figured it out during the race. And um, shout out to all of the people that we were racing by who were a lap down. They were real uh, on board with us just being on the lead lap, knowing we were a little faster, and just letting us by without too much of a hassle.
Looks like tonight, comfort the name of the game as the race went on. Looks like most drivers very comfortable with the setup and keeping the long run in motion, but that final stint, 2 laps, made all the difference. Though you didn't lose all too many positions, I'm sure that wasn't the best way to finish it off.
It wasn't. Chris felt actually really bad because he's like, man, I don't deserve this position. I was a lap down to you and Corey. But I told him, hey, I made the mistake, so he gets the benefit from it. And that's just the name of the game, right?
No, that exactly it is. Nevertheless, still a podium finish, and now one last chance, one last race. You've come close to victory many a time, come close to getting a runner-up tonight. Maybe a chance to finally break through when we go to Miami.
I hope so. Miami is a fun track. It's a little different than all the other ones because the high line is the preferred line as opposed to the lower line. So we'll see how that plays out. I'm not sure how many people in this league have had a lot of experience on Miami, so it'll be interesting to see how it plays out and how people their strategy is with racing around that track.
Well, one last chance for the 37 crew come next week, but tonight, Jake Raven pulling away with a third place finish. If you have any final shout outs you'd like to give, the floor is yours. We'd love to hear it.
Always like to give a shout out to my girlfriend. She's always wishing me luck here in the broadcast chat. Always to the PRA guys for just putting this on, trying to keep it organized. All the drivers for, keeping cool heads, no drama. We love no drama. And Thomas for putting this all together initially.
Well, of course, great league racing week after week. Jake Raven coming around again, bottom step of the podium and hitting the bronze once more, this time by in Thompson. Thank you once again for stopping by.
Thank you.
And so, Jake Raven going to be on the move to finish up tonight's broadcast. We hear from the man who finished in third, the 37 of Raven, the second of Chris Mullins, and the first place driver. the winner again, Corey Lyles, who is now the odds-on favorite for the champion come next week when we head to Homestead Miami Speedway, the final race of the season, the inaugural season of the SimPulse Legacy Truck Series, and we're going to be heading, of course, back down to Florida where it all began in just a week's time. Same time, same place, live on FTN, and we hope to see you there once more. You've been watching coverage today of the Thompson 150 from the Thompson Speedway here in the SimPulse Legacy Truck Series, brought to you by Prodigy Racing Association. I've been your host, David Kreutz, commentating and producing, and if you enjoyed, make sure to leave a like on the stream and subscribe to the channel. It is always greatly appreciated. Thank you for tuning in tonight from the virtual Thompson Speedway in Connecticut. From David Kreutz and the FTN crew, we hope you had a fantastic night.